Ever since Texas A&M entered the SEC, the joke around the program was that they would go 8-4. Their average record going back to when they joined the conference is 8-4. Their record last year was also 8-4. It seemed like every year they should put it together, but they would end up, you guessed it, going 8-4. Last year, they watched as rivals Texas join the SEC conference, and in their first year in the conference, went to the SEC title game by beating A&M in College Station, something A&M had not achieved since joining the conference. This year though, things feel different in Aggieland. A&M is rolling heading into November and has a schedule to not just make it to the SEC title game, but also the college football playoff, and avoid the dastardly 8-4 record. Mike Elko has these boys rolling. But before we get into this, if you enjoy college football content like this, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Also, let me know who you think wins the national title in the comment section below. Mike Elko always saw the potential in Texas A&M after serving as their defensive coordinator for the Orange Bowl winning 2020 team, a team that finished 9-1 in their lone loss coming to the eventual national champions Alabama. Elko arrived to Aggieland in 2018 after serving as Notre Dame's defensive coordinator in 2017. Elko was given credit for revitalizing the Notre Dame defense during his lone season there. They only gave up 20 points or more once all season long, with one of the toughest schedules in the nation. After Notre Dame defeated USC 49-14 in October, Kelly credited Elko's coaching as the primary reason for the 2017 defensive improvements. Elko finished as a Frank Broyles Award semifinalist in both 2017 and 2021. While Elko was the defensive coordinator for the Aggies, they would go 34-14 while going 12-13 in their last two seasons under Jimbo Fisher without Elko. In 2021, Texas A&M finished third in the nation for points allowed per game with 15.9, and they saw their pass defense improve every year under him. Under Elko, the defense also only allowed 113.5 rushing yards per game over his 4 years. When Elko left, the defense in 2022 allowed 208.8 yards per game rushing, and Elko would take the head coaching job at Duke, where he would go 17-9 in 2 seasons, leading them to back-to-back bowl games after going 5-18 before his arrival in the previous 2 seasons. Without Elko, the culture under Jimbo Fisher at Texas A&M seemingly collapsed as numerous off-the-field issues occurred in the program. Although there was talent all over the roster, with A&M finishing with the best recruiting class of all time at the time in 2022, they could not translate that to success on the field. Guys like Evan Stewart and Walter Nolan left the program along with nearly half of the recruiting class over the past few years. Just 16 of the 30 high school signees from the class remained on the roster heading into 2024. Guys that remained on the roster, though, would become key pieces for Texas A&M last year. Those names included Shamar Stewart, Connor Wagman, Bryce Anderson, Le'Veon Moss, Noah Thomas, and Mark Naboo, who all were starters in 2024. Elko returned back to A&M the day the transfer portal opened and 2 weeks before signing day with no staff. He told ESPN, "It has been a whirlwind of epic proportion. Trying to put all these together into a puzzle, right? So yeah, it's a lot. And you've got to be really patient and put it together the way you believe in and get it going to where you want it to go." Elko focused on getting the right people involved in the program, from the support staff to the analytical roles to the strength and conditioning coaches. The foundation was going to be important and was something Kevin Sumlin and Jimbo Fisher couldn't get done. Elko felt he could win a national title at A&M, explaining, "The unique spot that I have sitting here for 4 years as defensive coordinator is I know all the reasons why this place can win a national championship, and then I probably know some of the reasons why we failed, which I think gives me a unique perspective coming in. I come in with a lot more knowledge of what Texas A&M is all about. That can help, and I just think we've got to be intelligent about how we go about building this place, because it's a place where there's high expectations. You have to win now for sure, but you've got to still focus on building in a way that allows you to sustain the success that you have for a long period of time." He wanted a team that could play with a lot of grit and toughness. He brought in Colin Klein as his offensive coordinator, who has been viewed as one of the brightest young minds in all of college football. At defensive coordinator, he named Jay Bateman, who was once the defensive coordinator for Siena, Elon, Ball State, Army, and North Carolina before serving as Florida's inside linebacker coach from 2022 to 2023. Elko changed the culture at A&M and quickly revitalized the program. Multiple people within Fisher's program described poor day-to-day discipline and accountability in 2022 and 2023, with one of his former assistants saying, "It was kids doing whatever they wanted." Under Elko, that was not going to fly, as he made being on time a requirement, whether it be meetings, workouts, or class. If you weren't going to be on time, you weren't going to play on Saturdays for the Aggies. Those who showed up late to his first A&M meeting weren't allowed in. By the time the next meeting, players got the message. Elko said the percentage of late arrivals was 0%. A&M would start the season 7-1, dominating the likes of LSU and Florida, with their only loss coming in the season opener against number 7 Notre Dame. They would deal with a rotating quarterback room between Weigman and Marcel Reed, but Reed would close out the season as a starter as the Aggies struggled, losing their last 3 SEC games against South Carolina, Auburn in 4 overtimes, and number 3 Texas at home. Their only win would come against New Mexico State. Up until the South Carolina game, Reed had not thrown an interception. In their final 4 games, he threw a pick in all 4. Texas A&M went from the college football playoff contenders and SEC title contenders to missing out on the playoffs and instead playing USC in the Las Vegas Bowl, a game they would lose 35-31 as Reed threw 2 interceptions. Reed finished the year throwing for 1,864 yards, 15 touchdowns and 6 interceptions, while also rushing for 547 yards and 7 touchdowns, while A&M finished 8-5. The offense averaged 30.4 points per game, which was the 50th most in the nation, while the defense finished 35th in the nation in points allowed at 22.2 points per game. During the offseason, Weigman transferred to Houston, leaving Reed as the quarterback with no questions asked heading into the year. They landed one of the best players in the portal in Casey Concepcion from NC State, as well as Mario Craver from Mississippi State. Both were extremely fast wide receivers with the ability to be major playmakers. They also returned All-SEC running back Le'Veon Moss, who rushed for 765 yards, even after missing a lot of time due to injury. The offensive line was also expected to be one of the best in the conference, if not the nation. They had all-conference caliber players in tackle Trey Zune III, as well as guard Chase Bisantis, and Armaj Reed Adams. Mark Naboo Jr. returned after missing most of last year with a torn ACL. After the way the defense closed out the season in 2024, Elko returned to play-calling duties. In the secondary, they returned All-SEC cornerback Will Lee III and nickelback Tyreek Chappell, and they also added Washington transfer Jordan Shaw and Julian Humphreys from Georgia. The concern around the defense was the defensive line, more specifically their pass rush. Cassius Howell had 4 sacks last year, while no one else registered more than 2.5. A&M also allowed the most 20-yard-plus rushes last year in the SEC as well. The defense was going to decide whether they would be a playoff team or not, as the offense was stacked on paper. A&M entered the year as the 19th ranked team in the AP preseason poll and 21st in the coaches poll. Bill Steele projected them to finish 4th in the SEC, as they were number 5 in the experience charts. The joke around A&M was they were always going to finish 8-4. It's their average finish since they joined the SEC in 2012, and they went 8-4 last year. This year, Gig'em 24/7 predicted them to finish, you guessed it, 8-4 with losses to Notre Dame, LSU, South Carolina, and Texas, with their only home loss coming to the Gamecocks. They wrote the Aggies will make progress compared to last year, but another 8-4 finish will leave fans underwhelmed. While they will have one of the better offenses in the SEC, their defense will continue to hold them back. A&M would start the season off with 2 blowout wins over UTSA and Utah State. Although UTSA gave them a fight for a little, the Aggies were too much. They were expected to do that though, and the big test would be against 0-1 number 8 Notre Dame in South Bend. In a back-and-forth game, A&M would escape with a 41-40 win as Notre Dame's holder dropped the snap. They went into their bye 3-0 and were ranked number 10 in the nation, jumping 6 spots with the win. They would be in a 9-round fight with Auburn and would pull out the win 16-10, as Auburn's defense only let them into the end zone once. They would then crush upstart Mississippi State 31-9, who was coming off an overtime loss to Tennessee. The following week, they dominated Florida 34-17. They would be pushed to the brink against Arkansas, but would survive with a 45-42 win to survive setting up a major matchup with LSU. They entered the game 7-0 and ranked number 3 in the nation behind Ohio State and Indiana. LSU entered the game with 2 losses to Ole Miss and Vanderbilt, meaning this was a must-win game for the Tigers as Brian Kelly hot seat talk began. A&M would go into half down 18-14 to LSU, but they would explode in the second half, scoring 35 unanswered points, as the Tigers' only second half points came in garbage time. The Aggies would win 49-25 and have stayed as the number 3 team in the polls. A&M dominated LSU so badly that Tiger fans chanted to fire Brian Kelly so loudly it was picked up on the broadcast, and days later they would actually fire Kelly. Marcel Reed has played well, throwing for 1,972 yards, 17 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions, while also rushing for 349 yards and 6 touchdowns on the ground. Reuben Owens has also emerged as a star as he leads the team in rushing yards with 440 yards and 3 touchdowns on the ground. Casey Concepcion has also been a star playmaker with 545 receiving yards and 7 touchdowns, while also being a difference maker on special teams as well with 309 punt return yards and 2 touchdowns, meaning he has 901 all-purpose yards currently when you add in his rushing numbers as well. The defense hasn't been amazing, allowing 27 points per game, which is 83rd in the nation, but they are doing enough to help the Aggies win. The Aggies' schedule is super manageable the remainder of the season. After a bye week this weekend, they travel to Missouri to take on the Tigers, a team that just lost their starting quarterback. They then host South Carolina and Sanford in College Station, before closing out the season on the road in Austin to take on a struggling Texas team. They have a very manageable schedule. After the game, Elko said, "This team is doing some really special things. I think we should enjoy it. It's the first time since 1992 that the Aggies have started 8-0. It was the Aggies' first win in Baton Rouge since 1994, when R.C. Slocum was the coach and Elko was playing point guard for South Brunswick High School in New Jersey." Reed spoke on the team, telling The Athletic, "There's definitely still a lot of things to be proven. I feel like a lot of people in this country don't respect us as a team. No, we're not trying to prove anybody wrong. We're just going to go prove ourselves right." Through 9 weeks, the Aggies are the only unbeaten SEC team and one of 2 without a conference loss, with the other being Alabama. The Aggies have a 97% chance of making the college football playoff and are in the driver's seat when it comes to making it to Atlanta for the SEC title game. What do you think? Is Texas A&M serious contenders to win out and win the national title? Let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to check out one of my other videos YouTube thinks you will love right here. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, remember to embrace the grind.